Hey there, all you coding ninjas out there. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're going to be talking about functions in computer programming. Pretty cool stuff, Reddy.
Definitely cool. In ninth grade, you probably have stuff that you do over and over again, right? Like homework chores.
Oh yeah, for
Yep.
sure. And practicing guitar.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in programming, we have these things called functions, and they can really help simplify those repetitive tasks. They're like shortcuts, so you don't have to write the same code again and again and again.
So it's like if I'm building a game and I want my character to jump, I could just make a jump function.
Exactly. And then every time you need that character to jump, you just call that function instead of writing out all that code again. Saves a ton of time and effort.
Ooh, that's pretty neat. So where are we getting all this info from today?
Well, we're actually looking at some material from Carnegie Mellon University, a super cool place for tech. So this is the real deal.
Wow, CMU. Okay, so we're learning from the best.
Okay.
So how do you actually create one of these functions? I mean, it sounds cool, but
Good question. It's all about defining the function. It's like giving it a name and telling the computer what you want it to do. We're using Python for this example, and in Python, you'd use the keyword def to define a function.
so if we want to make that jump function we were talking about earlier, we would start with def jump.
Yeah.
And then what?
You got it. So it would be def jump, and you put those parentheses there.
Okay, so it's like we're writing instructions for the computer def jump, and then do we tell it how high to jump or how fast? What else?
You're thinking like a programmer already. Those are called parameters, and they're basically like the options you can choose from. So inside those parentheses, you can put things like height or speed to customize that jump.
Oh, so it's kind of like a menu of choices for how to jump. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I could have one jump function for like a little hop and another one for a super high jump.
Yeah, exactly. That's the beauty of parameters. They give you so much flexibility. And speaking of choices, there's another important concept called arguments.
Ooh, more new words.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are arguments? How are they different from parameters?
Think of it this way. Parameters are like the options on a menu, and arguments are what you actually choose. So for a small hawk, the height argument might be 2, and for that super high jump, the height could be 10.
Okay, I think I'm getting it. So parameters are like pepperoni as a topping option,
Yeah.
but when I order, I got to tell them how MUCH pepperoni I want.
That's a great way to put it. Every time you call the function, you're basically ordering up a custom jump.
All right, this is making way more sense now. So I'm guessing there are rules for naming these functions, right? Like I can't just call it random jump thingy.
Haha, you're right about that. Good naming is super important in programming. Can you imagine trying to read code where the functions were just named like A, B, and C?
Oh gosh, no way. It would be a total nightmare. It'd be like trying to find a file on my computer and everything is just named document 1, document 2.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be impossible to find anything. So we have some conventions for naming functions. They should be clear, descriptive, and they have to start with a letter.
Makes sense. What about capitals and lowercase? Does that matter?
It does. Often we use what we call camel case, where each word starts with a capital letter, like draw a big square or calculate score. You see how it makes it easier to read?
Yeah, camel case, that's a good one. It
Yeah.
does make it much easier to read.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got def to define the function, the name, and then the parentheses with parameters and arguments.
Yep.
Anything else, or is that pretty much it?
You're on a roll. There is one more thing. Remember that colon we put after the parentheses? That's basically telling Python, okay, get ready. Here comes the actual code for this function.
Ah, right. It's like hitting enter to start a new line. But what about the code itself? What goes in there?
That's where you write all the instructions to make the function do its thing. This part's called the body of the function.
So it's like a whole little mini program inside the bigger program.
Exactly, and it can be as simple or complex as you need it to be.
I'm getting so excited about this. It's like learning a secret language to control the computer. But before we get too carried away, is there anything else we need to cover about the basics of functions?
Actually, yeah. There's one more thing that can be super helpful, especially when you're first starting out. It's called the pass statement.
Pass. Is that like telling the computer to skip this part?
Well, it's more like saying, hey, I'm not ready to write the code for this function yet, but I want to keep things organized. It's like a placeholder that you can come back to later.
So like when I'm taking notes and I leave a blank space to fill in later.
Exactly. It's just a way to remind yourself that you need to come back and finish this part later.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've covered a lot today. Defining functions, giving them names, adding those parameters and arguments, and even using pass as a placeholder. Feels like we've just scratched the surface, though.
You're right about that. There's a whole lot more to learn about functions, but you've got a great foundation now.
This is getting me so pumped about coding. I can't wait to start building my own functions and making cool games and animations.
I love that enthusiasm. And that's what it's all about. But hey, why don't we take a quick break and then come back to dive even deeper into the world of functions?
Welcome back, everybody. So we've been talking all about functions, these cool little mini programs inside your code. We learned about how to define them, give them names, and add those parameters. But I'm still kind of wondering, why are they so important? I mean, I get the basics, but
That's a great question. Let's think about it like this. Imagine you're building a game and you want to create a whole bunch of enemies. Each one has a slightly different behavior, right? Well, without functions, you'd have to write separate code for each enemy, even if they have a lot in common.
that sounds like it would take forever.
Mm-hmm.
So much typing. And what if you want to change something later? Do you have to go back and change the code for every single enemy?
Exactly. That's where functions come in handy. You could create one function called like a move enemy and give it parameters for things like speed and direction.
So instead of writing out all that code for every enemy, you just use the move enemy function and tweak it a little bit for each one.
You got it. And if you want to change how all the enemies move, you just have to change the code in one place, the move enemy function. It's all about efficiency and making your code easier to work with.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like having a master control panel for all my enemies instead of having to adjust each one individually. So cool. So what if I want to share my code with my friends? Would functions help with that too?
For sure. Think about it. You've created this awesome library of functions for like moving characters, drawing objects, or handling game logic. With functions, you can package all that code up neatly and share it with your friends so they can use it in their own games.
That's so much better than just giving them like a huge messy pile of Legos and saying good luck.
Exactly. Functions make collaboration so much easier, and that's a huge part of why they're so important in programming. Oh, and speaking of parameters and arguments, there's something super important to remember about them.
Oh, this sounds serious. What is it?
It's not super complicated, but it's something that even really experienced programmers sometimes forget the order of the arguments. Remember how we talked about giving the jump function arguments for height and speed?
Yeah, like height equals 2 for a small jump and height equals 10 for a super high jump. What about it?
Well, the order you put those arguments in really matters. Let's say you have a function called draw rectangle that takes two inputs, width and height. If you mix up the order, you could end up with a really tall, skinny rectangle instead of a wide, flat one.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. It's like giving someone directions, but you switch up the street names, they'll end up in the wrong place.
Exactly. So whenever you're working with functions, always double-check the order of your arguments. It'll save you a lot of headaches later on.
Good thing we have those descriptive function names to help us remember. So we've talked about how functions save time, keep your code organized, make collaboration easier, and how important the order of arguments is.
Yeah, we've covered a lot. The cool thing about functions is that they can be as simple or as complex as you need them to be. There's so much you can do with them.
So I can start with a really basic function, and as I learn more, I can make it more advanced.
Yep, exactly. It's all about building up your skills gradually. But hey, are you ready to start thinking about creating your own functions? Like, what would you want to make? It's the next level.
Ooh, I'm a little nervous, but yeah, let's do it. I have some ideas, but where do we even start? Okay, so we're back and ready to create our own functions. I'm feeling a little nervous, though. Like, how do you go from an idea to actual code?
Well, it's all about breaking things down. Remember how we said functions are kind of like recipes? Let's say we want to make a function to draw a star. What are the basic ingredients we'd need?
Okay, so a star needs points, right? Like 5 points for a classic star. And I guess I'd want to control how big it is and what color it is.
Perfect. Those are your parameters, the things you can customize. So you'd start by defining your function with def, and then a good descriptive name like draw star.
Okay, got it. Def draw star, and then what?
Then you add those parameters inside the parentheses so it would look like this def draw star. Points, size, color.
All right, def draw star, point, size, color. Wow, this is starting to feel real. What's next? Do we start writing the code to actually draw the star?
Almost. Don't forget that important colon at the end of the line. That tells Python, okay, get ready, here come the instructions.
Right, the colon. It's like hitting enter to start a new line of code. So what kind of instructions do we give to draw a star? I mean, that seems pretty complicated.
Well, that's where the real magic happens. Inside the function, you'll use all those coding tools you're learning about things like loops, variables, and drawing commands. It's like building with code blocks.
So it's like I have a mini canvas inside the function,
Yeah,
and I can write the code to make the star look exactly how I want.
exactly. And you can use those parameters we talked about, points, size, and color, to make each star unique. You could even add more parameters if you wanted to control things like the star's rotation or whether it's filled in or just an outline.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
So many possibilities. Okay, so once I've written the code to actually draw the star, how do I make it appear on the screen?
That's the easy part. You just call the function by its name like this. Draw star, 5, 100, yellow. This tells Python, hey, go run that code we wrote for drawStar, but use 5 points, make it 100 pixels big, and color it yellow.
So it's like I'm giving a specific order using the function name and the arguments I choose. That's awesome.
You got it. And the best part is you can call that same function as many times as you want with different arguments to create all kinds of stars. You can make big ones, small ones, red ones, blue ones, whatever you can imagine.
This is blowing my mind. I can't wait to try this out and make my own functions and build all sorts of cool games and animations.
That's what I love to hear. Remember, learning to code is like learning any new skill. It takes practice and patience and a little bit of creativity. Don't be afraid to experiment, try new things, and most importantly, have fun.
Well, this has been an awesome deep dive into the world of functions. We learned what they are, why they're important, and even how to create our own. It's amazing how much power functions give us as programmers.
I totally agree. What's really cool to me is how functions help us break down big, complex problems into smaller, more manageable pieces. It's a skill you can use not just in programming, but in all sorts of problem solving.
That's a great point. So to all our listeners out there, keep those coding brains buzzing. Don't be afraid to dive into the world of functions and see what amazing things you can create. Until next time, happy coding.